Hey, what's up, fam? Feels like it's been a while since I did my last review on Goblin Slayer. It's one of the series that I got kind of lost up on real quick just because of catching up with other things and being busy. But luckily, I caught up with the anime yesterday, and they did some stuff actually I'm pretty happy about. So I'm gonna do five by itself, and then I'm gonna do six and seven as as a combo review because those two are kind of related. Well, this one is kind of its own thing, and in this episode, they ended up tying stuff from one of the spin-offs into it with I think it's just one more day or something. I don't remember the exact name of the spin-off. I've talked about it before, and I'm guessing some of the more Goblin Slayer like heavy fans know what I'm talking about. Where you get to see the Goblin Slayer like affecting other people, like these two. This dude who ends up getting using a club and his priest spellcaster teammate, which is pretty nice. I like seeing the Goblin Slayer interact with other characters, and it was nice to see them, even though they were mean at one point, just kind of like, they're a bit apologetic about it, but not to the Goblin Slayer. Like you could just see the themselves as just like, man, we're jerks to him. We don't think he'll talk to us, and then just the Goblin Slayer just not holding anything against them. He's just like, whatever. If you have any questions, we'll try and answer them. But it's always funny to see him kind of respond to stuff, and it's goblins on the brain at all times. And then they're like, "What do you do when if you lose your sword?" And they're like, "Steal one from a goblin." Like we're not always fighting goblins. And he's like, "Oh, well that's all I really know, but I can try to give you advice." And just like how I really like how the goblin slayer interacts with stuff. Also, the big titty witch, she's a pretty interesting character. I think it's funny how she always had like anytime she gives somebody something, she pulls it out from between her boobs, which is it's goofy, but I also really like the composure on her face while she's doing it. So it I guess to her it's really just like taking something out of like a backpack or something. She's like, this is where I keep all my valuables. All right, keep all my valuables here. No one can get to them unless I let them. And I think she's a pretty funny character in that small regard. She seems pretty knowledgeable, pretty powerful, but just like that small bit to her is just like, oh yeah, let me give you a gift, and it's just like she just reaches deep between her boobs. It actually reminds me of what's that? That's that all that cartoon. There was like a dude who could like pull stuff out of his pants. He just would like literally reach into his pants and pull out an item. That's pretty much what she is, but in reverse. Instead, she's chick pulling out her boobs. But then it kind of got back to the dude, and he goes after a sword. He's like smashing up rats and bugs with his club, and I like that kind of change with his character. When you see him like looking at other people like sparring, he sees like a woman with a long sword, and then he sees like the great sword guy, and he's like, man, I wish I had cool weapons like them. But then he ends up like going to more practical for him, which was pretty cool with the club, and I like that. I obviously anyone's ever talked to me about weapons, great sword would be my pick of choice if I ever was able to use a weapon. Obviously, with great sword though, I'd have to be physically strong enough to use it in this situation, whether it be like real life strength or fictional. I get to be really strong anyway, strength, even though I'm not like a jack dude. But just seeing like a guy be like, okay, I need to actually use a weapon that's like realistic to me. I thought that was cool. I don't remember the part with the where a goblin slayer was an observer to some dude's like little meeting in the spinoff. Probably in the novel. I haven't read the novel. I have one of them. I haven't read it yet. But just like this guy who's like I guess he stole from his team, sort of. Not really, but he held some loot from a chest that he found. Didn't tell anybody. Sold it, and just didn't share with any of his allies. And they're talking about how like even though it's illegal, it's very distrustworthy. And why would they want somebody within their group, within their town's adventurers guild, somebody who's untrustworthy. It just starts there. It could get worse. They're like, all right, what we'll do is we're gonna knock you down in rank, and then we're gonna say you can't work in this town. You have to go somewhere else. And he got real salty about it. And you see, just like he wants to attack, guild quest giver lady. And God, sometimes it's hard when when some of the characters don't have names at all. But you see him like wanting to attack her, and then him just knowing what'll happen is the Goblin Slayer will beat the shit out of him. And then afterwards, the Goblin Slayer is just like, I'm just here. I don't know why I'm here, but I was asked to be here, so I'm gonna sit and do my job. And goblins and then the guild quest lady is like she's trying so hard. She's like, "Yeah, I really appreciate you doing this for me." Normally, some of the guys always like try and come on to me and I don't feel comfortable around them. But someone, you I'm very comfortable with. I really like having you around. And she she like you can tell her trying and then just like the goblin slayer's so oblivious because all he wants to do is go kill goblins. But she's just like missing her chance and you can tell her friend is just like you're losing or you're fighting a losing battle. What are you doing? He's only got one thing on the brain, that's killing goblins. He doesn't want it. I don't think he's interested in you. Also, you got early in the chapter when Farm Girl is talking to him, and you can see like when he mentions something, and she's like, "Oh, did that priest girl tell you that?" And you can see the dislike on her face, knowing like thinking of priest girl. She's just like, I don't think she knows about about Guild Quest lady. She's like, because she's in this game too. He's got like a unknowing harem, and they're all just they're all wanting the big game of the Goblin Slayer, and he's just completely only caring about goblins. It reminds me of like a funny picture. I don't know if anyone else has seen it here, where it's like all these girls wanting like coming straight on the Goblin Slayer and wanting him. He's just like, I need to kill some goblins. Excuse me. It's just pretty funny. I like that aspect to him. He's so dedicated, but all these girls are trying so hard. I wonder if any of them will ever succeed by the time the series is over. But that was mostly it for this episode. Got mostly just some nice slice of life for a lot of the bits, and some nice kind of like revelations for a side character. The little rookie adventurer guy and gal, and her just like trying to get used to all this, and him like learning where he's making dumb mistakes, and where exactly he's got to compromise. So it was a nice episode. It's a good episode, and I really liked looking at a lot of the side stuff because one of the things about the Goblin Slayer, at least where I'm at, I'm caught up with where the manga is. I know the novel's way more ahead, and there's a bunch of crazier stuff to come. But there's a lot of good action, but in between them, I think that the character interactions are really good too, and I really enjoy the way that he does stuff in between all the big badass battle episodes and chapters. So, Ronnie, tell me what you think about this episode below and what you think about Goblin Slayer, like as a whole. Thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content for more manga and anime videos. And I appreciate everyone that has subscribed already. But otherwise, thank you very much for listening.